guys, it's Josh from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with my top 5 books of spring. So this is from March, April, and May. I have been doing this, I think, for a year now. I'll go ahead and link all my videos down below. I saw Reagan from Peruse Project start doing this, and I thought it was a great idea to remind you guys of my favorite books if you don't watch my wrap-ups or if you get lost in my wrap-ups, because I do read a lot. This past month I read 16 books, and so I've read over 30 books in the past 3 months, and so I have my top 5 from spring that I read. They are not necessarily brand new books, but they're books that I decided to read this time, so I'll go ahead and get to my favorite books that I read in the past 3 months. These are in no particular order, but I'm going to go through the ebooks first. I have 2 ebooks and 3 physical books. So the first one is What He Always Knew by Kandi Steiner. This is actually the second book in this duology, so I would say the duology was my favorite, but the second book totally took the cake. This is Kandi Steiner, who is one of my absolute favorite authors. When she was advertising this duet, she was like, oh, super angsty and amazing, and I read the first one and I was like, there's no angst, like, come on. And I love Kandi's angst, so I was a little disappointed. When we got to this book, there was the angst. So this is about a woman named Charlie who is currently married, and what happens is she feels kind of stuck in her marriage. She doesn't feel loved anymore. Something happened and her husband have grown apart, and she feels like she can't connect with him and she doesn't feel loved, and so her old crush comes back into town, and now if I remember correctly, they never did anything about liking each other because he was a little bit older than her, and he's back and he wants her, and so it's her decision whether to leave her husband and the promises she made in marriage and to try to find and see if the man she fell in love with was still there, or to go with this man who has loved her whole life but has not been there for her whole life. And so, oh my god, first book, I had a clear-cut winner who I knew I wanted her to be with. This book, I did not even know who I wanted her to pick, and I didn't know who she would pick, and it was crazy roller coaster of emotions, and the characters change. You got different perspectives in this book too, which I really loved how Kandi changed that for the second book, so you really got to understand characters more from their own point of view instead of just Charlie's point of view. Phenomenal. 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely recommend it if you like a more mature adult romance, which Kandi has written new adult, but she does have a few really good older adults. So they're not old, but they're in their late 20s, which is not what we see a lot in the new adult community, and so I really love this, and you all should read it. My next favorite is because I definitely met a new book boyfriend, and that is Dearest Clementine by Lex Martin. Oh my gosh. So first of all, this is about a girl named Clementine who is a writer in college, which I love any books that have to do with writing. And she actually had a best-selling independently published book when she was a freshman, but she went through a lot of drama her freshman year, and so she's really closed off. She's trying to work on a second book. It's her senior year, and she accidentally signed up for a romance writing class, so she started to write a little bit of romance. And she meets Gavin, who is an RA at her old dorm where she went to try to get inspiration. He instantly likes her, and he's like, hey, I'll help you find some inspiration for your book, since she wrote her first book based on her own personal experience in high school. This book was so good. Gavin was the perfect man ever. He's one of my favorite book boyfriends now, and I love this story. I love the fact that normally now college books kind of bother me because I've been out of college for 3 years now, and that just I'm not into that whole mentality anymore, but this just was amazing, and I loved it. I loved her past and her relationship with her brother, and it was just good. And you all have to read this, and I cannot wait to finish the series. My next favorite was actually a new to me author, and that is Wilder by Rebecca Yarros. People have been telling me to read this for a year now, I feel like, and so I was meeting Rebecca at a Polycon, so I finally read this. It was advertised as a sports romance, and these guys actually, I think they have a YouTube channel or something where they do stunts in extreme sports. And so he's going on the main character, Wilder, is going on this yacht that's a study at sea program, and this girl, she doesn't have a lot of money for it, but she has to tutor him in order to be able to go, and she's going with her best friend who hasn't arrived yet. I think she's comes 2 months later, maybe, and because I think she was sick or something, and so she is alone, and she has to tutor Wilder, and part of her scholarship is that she has to help him have a high enough GPA, and now something happened to her in her past that has her terrified of heights, and he pushes her to go out of her comfort zone and take risks, and they fall in love, and it's so fun, so good. I loved every single minute of this. I would have finished it in one night if I didn't have work the next day. Honestly, I was blazing through this book. I have book 2, and I really want to read all the rest of the Renegades books because it's so addicting and amazing, and they all have really interesting stories and really, really, really good. My next favorite should come as no surprise because it's a new one from my favorite author, and that is Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. This is actually like a fun romance that Penelope decided to come out with. She has been writing the Corrupt series, and that's really dark and gritty and long and just like emotionally taxing, and so she came out with this. This is about a girl. This is about a girl named Jordan who is, I think she's in college, and her boyfriend is like so immature. He doesn't take any responsibilities. He goes out drinking and partying all the time, and she works constantly and to pay their bills, and they end up having to move in with his dad because they can't afford a place on their own anymore. And what happens is that her dad ends up being a guy that she spent the night at the movies with, who she really clicked with, and it's Pike. And Pike's only 19 years older than them because I think he had his son at 19, and obviously he's not with the mom anymore, can't stand her. And so there's a 19-year age gap, which I was wary about, but oh my gosh, Jordan is such a mature character. She is over the whole party scene. She's over being immature like her boyfriend is, and she just wants to be able to make a life for herself and support herself, and Pike really appreciates that. He gets her. They have a lot of the same hobbies. She makes fun of his 80s love, and there's references to a second book, I think it's called Motel, about the girl who works at the motel in this, and oh my gosh, this was so good. It was forbidden, angsty, it was fun. There is no cheating on the main couple's part though, which I appreciated, so really, really, really good, and you all should read this. And my last favorite that should come as no surprise, Kulti by Mayra Zapata. This is a book that has been on my shelf for a while now. I love Mayra Zapata. She is the queen of slow burn. This, like I said in my wrap up, is slow burn. This, nothing romantic happens for like 90% of this book, but it's their relationship, them falling in love without telling each other that they love each other. It's about Sal, who is a professional women's soccer player, and she is so dedicated to her sport. She gets up every day in the morning and runs 5 miles. She is really worried she'll get hurt, but she has proven herself, and she has really best friends on the team. And then they get a new coach, Kulti, who is this brooding German soccer player. He was the best, and he doesn't do anything. He comes to practice and doesn't do anything. He just stares, and the girls are like, what the heck? Like, come on, like, do something. And there's a past between Kulti and Sal's brother, but Sal worshipped him when she was younger, and so he is very angry and very closed off, but then him and Sal become friends, and it's fabulous. I was gonna say fantastic and fabulous at the same time. It's both of those. I love this. I love seeing them become friends. I love them playing soccer together and training together and running together, and this was just so good. I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. If you don't like slow burn though, you're gonna hate this. It is super slow burn, but even though it's long, like, it was so good. So good, and I didn't feel like it was that long, and I flew through it, and you all need to read it. And those are the top 5 books that I read this spring. Let me know if you've read these and what your thoughts were, or your favorite books you've read in the last 3 months. I would love to hear. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.